Hi, I'm Harris, also known as the Fridge. I'm a 3D artist working in the industry for the last 7 years, and I bring to you a new class all about modeling. This class will be for beginners and we'll be modeling a dagger known as the Forbidden Blade. So, in this modeling course, we're going to be learning all about using modifiers, reference images, how to speed up our workflow, and also just the basics of how to create a hard surface asset for your library or game or whatever you want to use it for. The tips and tricks can be used on other models and other projects anywhere along your 3D journey, and hopefully these things and skills that you'll learn today will be helpful to you in making any kind of 3D asset that you'd like. I hope you enjoy the class, and I can't wait to see you participate in making your own Forbidden Blade. Hey guys, welcome to this course. So I hope you're excited to learn about knives, blades, modeling, everything hard surface, just the basics of them. We will be going through. I will have my screencast keys on so that you can see. Just see. Okay, now you can see them, and you can see what I'm doing down here, and I'll just be telling you about any modifiers or anything that I do use. Hopefully you have some kind of a gist to it. I will tell you that I have changed a few shortcut keys for myself. For example, for moving, instead of getting the I get this gizmo instead, so that I can move it a lot easier. And same with rotation and scaling, instead of just scaling on the X, or like rotating on the Y axis or something that usually you have with Blender. And also the period key is usually the key to focus on an object. I have the Shift F just to zoom into the object. That's just my preference. Apart from that, nothing should be new. You can keep going along and we should be fine. So let's get started with this. Let's just delete everything and start with a new scene. So first of all, what we're going to do is we need to check out our references. So I collected a few references for some daggers, some blades, and some swords as well that I liked. And you can go ahead and make any of these. There's some really good ones in here with some really good textures. We will get into that in a future course. And just any kind of daggers that you might like. You could choose one of these, or maybe just pick out your own from Google or anywhere else that you want to. So I did collect a few of these. From this one, what I like about this one is I like the whole idea of it. I like the smoke or whatever this is, like an aura emanating from it. I like the eye part, and I like the tassel part, because I do plan to animate this dagger at one point. So this hair on the tassel would give a nice effect. Plus minus that, we could remove that. Secondly, I like the handle of this blade, just like this part of it, and this design. Maybe I can put eye in this, I'm not sure. Go ahead, and the blade for a dagger, I think I'd like this one, this sharp blade with some kind of a hieroglyphics or whatever you can add onto that. We could use any of these really, because so many of them, most of them are so good, but we can't make all of them, of course. So let's just go ahead and start with the blade then in the next one. Okay. Alright, so we're going to be starting with the blade. So if you go into and have the import images as planes add-on, if you don't, you just go to preferences, and there is an add-on called import images as plane. Just tick that on, and then you should be able to see this import images planes. We're just gonna go ahead and import our blade, the one that we like, this one. Okay, so we can see it, and we're just gonna, if you go into here, you can see that if you just enable the texture, we can see this. Okay, and if we just go down here into the texture, and we can just turn the roughness all the way up and the specular all the way down so that we can see this properly. So okay, so we have this, we're gonna go ahead and rotate this about 90 degrees and just put it up here so that you can see it. Now if we can go ahead and model this from here. So what we're going to do first of all is if you shift click and right click, you can get the 3D cursor somewhere around here in the middle. Go ahead and we're just going to make a plane and rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, so we have the plane and I'm just going to put it in front so that now we can't see our thing in the back. So let's go ahead and scale it down. Okay, so we scaled it down and we can just move it a bit. So now what we're going to do is just align this and just align it towards the blade we have. Now if you check our blade in detail, what we have is this lower blade and then this higher blade on top of it. So we'll just make the lower blade first, the border, and then we'll come in and raise this part up, and I assume it's the same for the other side as well, so that we can just do that. So if we go ahead and just map this across, now we will need to make these jagged ends. If you press Ctrl and R, you can just make scroll up. You can make as many cuts as you want. So I'll make 3 cuts, and we can place one up here, one up here, one around here. And since we can't see it so well, I think, yeah, it's okay. That should be fine. And this one is fine as well. And we do need to make another cut here because these two, this needs to be around here. If we can see it properly, like over here, and there should be another one over here. This needs to be over here. This can be like this. See, we can now get this shape. That's like our blade. And that should be fine. So if we go to 2, we can just select these edges, press E to extrude, and we can just extrude these out. And then we can press 1 again and go back to modeling the other sides. So this is gonna go straight up. So we need something that curve it down. So let's just put this in the middle. Press Control T, and actually, how about we? Okay, Control T, and we can get one here. We can move this down here. Move this over here, and we kind of have this U going around. That's one way to model it, and if you see, that's kind of how our blade is turning out. Another way would be if we could just model the basic shape. That would be easier. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just put this aside. Actually, if you just press H, you can hide it. And let's make another plane and set it up. Can't see it again, so just move it forward. And if we just set it up so that we can make the basic shape of our knife. So let's just go ahead and mark it like here and here, the two major points. Grab this and just press W to extrude it down and just bring it down here. Press S, you can bring these in. Now we kind of have this blade, and now we need to make some insertions. So let's just make one up here for this one. Bring this in a bit. Yeah, over here, and then maybe one over here. Let's make this, bring this out. That should be fine. And also we'll just bring this one out. One more here. Bring this out. Bring this out. And bring this in. So if we want, we can check out the dagger. It's pretty much a solid curve that we have going over here. So we can't see the edges of it. That should be fine. Okay, so now we need, how many cuts do we need? Let's just bring this here, bring this here, and then we can have 1, 2, 3. So let's go with 3, and you can bring this down about here, this about here, this about here. This about here, and this about here, and this about here, and we're going to make one more for this. So now if we just grab these edges, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can extrude these out, and then we can fit these in. Oops. We can fit these in like this. This is going like this. This is going like this. And one more here. If we want to join these, we can just grab one. And then Control M. Well. RM. And last, so that we have these joined up, and then we can just pop this up as well. So now we have the edges done, and now we just need to cut this inside. So put one between here, one between here, and that should be good. So if we just bring this inside, bring this inside, and another one here, can bring this inside as well. So if we just grab these three, Control B. Okay, we have these edges. What we're going to do is we're just going to quickly save it. Save it in our Blender projects. We can select this as project underscore dagger. Save this Blender file. Okay, so now we've saved it. Let's continue. So we are making these edges, right? So we need to make these edges basically. We're trying to make these edges. We could make this separately and then attach it, but I don't think we should do that. So let's go ahead and do this side now. This moves up to here and just align it with our and also we need to add this part to it. So let's go ahead and grab this and extrude it, and I'll just estimate how far this wants to come. Something like this, and this could be a little much. If we look at our reference, this does go down a bit, so we'll just make this come down a bit. I think that's about it. Down a bit. This should be fine. This needs to be sharp. Now I just need to fix these edges. So what we can do is if we just select A and extrude it, then these edges we can grab, Control B, and bevel them out and see if that works. I think that works pretty well. Right, so we got this nice curve. We can do the same with this. Control B, and you can scroll down if you want less or more. Let's just keep it with, that should be fine. Same with this, Control B, and let's Control B. So now we have these rounded edges. What's wrong with this one? So now we have the thickness of it as well, the thickness of the blade, as well as the blade. Now, we don't really need this. Let's go ahead and refine our blade. You can see it's very nice and curved. So if we just go ahead and check it, we should probably make this nice and regular. So if we just go ahead and turn on X-ray mode, select these and just scale these. Oops, scale this in the Z to 0 and scale this as well in the Z to 0 so we can have straight lines. And Maybe even this 0. This needs to be curved, so just move this down here. So that gives us a nice curved effect. Okay, so I think our blade is done. It's good that it isn't too sharp. Let's just go here and also just, I think it should be sharper, so let's go ahead and scale it down. Okay, then we can fix the thickness of this in a minute. So we have our blade, basic blade. Let's just add the top part to it as well. This top part that we can see is more on this side and down here, not so much over here. So if we just go ahead and press 3, and it needs to go about to the bottom, so just grab these and press I to inset. As you can see, this might not look so good, so we just press Ctrl Z and Ctrl A, and we just apply the scale. Now we can do the same, and that should look a lot better. That seems about alright. It's kind of twisted down here. That's fine, we can just fix that in a bit. So let's just inset this about this much and just bring it forward a bit. So we have that nice little thing that we had going. I think it's a bit too much, so just move it back a bit and maybe scale it down a little bit. Oops. That looks about right. Okay, so for these vertices down here, what we're gonna do is just grab these and the ones that are not right, so let's just grab this plane and press 1. We can select these vertices, we don't need these ones, so we can just go ahead and press M, merge at center, and then bring them up a bit. Just bring them up a bit so that we can see. That looks about alright, maybe a bit more. So now we have this nice line that we have going, and that should be good for now. So we have our basic blade set up. If you want, we can copy this to this side. I think I will. So what we can do is just press Ctrl R and put a midsection, and then if you go to the side view and switch on X-ray mode and delete all these faces, all these edges. So we just delete all these vertices. So now we have a backless design. So if we go to the mirror modifier, add mirror modifier mirror, and if we just choose the Z axis, and if we go ahead and set, we go to origin, set origin to geometry. Wait a second. And also we just go ahead and select all these, Shift S and cursor to selected. Then we can right click and set origin to 3D cursor. Okay, now if we add the modifier stack of a mask and the Z, that should add up quite nicely if we just anyway clipping. That's also alright. So now we have a nice refined edge with a mirror modifier and the edges on both sides, as you can see. Okay, so this is a little thick. It's okay to be a little thick from up here, but it should maybe be a little thinner down here. So let's go ahead and bring this in. So if we just select these, select all these with the X-ray mode on, turn on proportional editing, and just if you just zoom in and out, you can see how it is affecting it. Let me just see. Okay, so we need to affect about, thin it out, thin it right out. So that's technically flattened it, to be honest. So instead of that, what we're going to do is down here, just going to bring these in and just move these in. Oops, move this in a bit and just deselect these with control and then move this in a bit as well. That means our sword is a little sharper down here, a little thicker up here. As you can see, it's getting sharper. I think it's a bit too much, so that should be fine. I do want to make it a little bit thinner down here though. So let's scale this down so it's nice and sharp, this edge. And that should be good to go for our blade. We should be good to go. Just save it. We don't need this anymore, so we can press M, add it to an archive collection in case we need it. Then we can just unhide it, and if we just go ahead and turn on renders as well, so we don't need to see this, and we can just put this yeah, and we can make another collection. Let's make what's this plane? Ah, this is the plane. See, so we don't really need this anymore, so we can just go ahead and delete this, and we can go ahead, press F2 and name this to blade. Oops, I don't know how to spell. And we can name this blade as well. So anything related to blade can be in this. So we have our basic blade done right now, and that should be good. Good to go, and we can go ahead and make refinements to it in a bit. Okay, so next we'll be modeling the handle, and then we'll go for the hilt. Alright, so now we're going to be modeling the handle. So the handle that I like is like this part, as I said, but I think I'll go with this this handle from here to down here. So basically we need a cylindrical thing. Now I can't the last time we made this blade, actually use this reference image and just basically traced over it so that we can make the exact blade, but in this case we don't have an image. That's something also I'm going to teach you how to actually make from a reference image without tracing as such. So we're just going to get the basic idea from this. So we have a cylinder, right? We have like two spiral things, two cylindrical rings on top of it, and then we have this base. At the base we have this like a flat cylinder down here as well, and we just join them all together and get materials and everything. All right, so let's go ahead and just hide this blade and make a new collection, and we'll call it the handle. Okay, and oops, move this to the blade, and in the handle now we'll make a cylinder. So now we have to make a cylinder, and we want to make these cuts, and that's pretty much it for the cylinder. So if we can get our edges, these edges, to somehow rotate so that we can so that they can get slanted, right? So like you can get slanted, that's how we're going to create this effect. So what we're going to do is delete this and make another cylinder, but now these are way too many cuts for our thing, so we need less amount of cuts. So we're just going to decrease the vertices to, let's see, something like 16. Even that's a lot, to be honest. Okay, let's go with 16. Now how we're going to do this is, if we just keep this bottom face as it is, grab the top face and just rotate it as much as we want. Now if we rotate it too much, you can see that it kind of skewers from the middle. We don't really want that, so let's just rotate it just enough so that we can get a nice effect, and it also doesn't change the angle too much. So I think something like this is good, right? So you can have like a nice effect to it. So there's still too much of these lines. What we can do is to make some of these more prominent. Just press 2 to select your edge, and we can just select every other edge. If we go for Control B, which is for beveling, and bevel it out, we don't know, we need so many, just one, and just bevel it out a bit. So now we have these edges which are a little more prominent. Now the reason I did this is because we will be beveling our models. Even the blade that we made earlier, will be beveling that as well later on in this class. Okay, so right now we're just going to be going with the basic shape. So this is kind of small, so we need to stretch this out. So either we can stretch this out like this, but I think it's better if we duplicate it. So if we just add an array modifier and add it to the z-axis, we don't need one on here, over here. So now we are getting this kind of thing, but we're going to be putting this ring on top of it over here, and then we'll have this nice little logo. So that's fine for now. Might be needing to decrease the thickness just a bit, or maybe it's not so round, so maybe we can just squash it in a bit. Yeah, so it has more of a grip because we will be grabbing this. So let's go ahead and model this ring then. So we want the ring to be over here, so if we just make another cylinder and rotate it 90 degrees, so we have the no, just keep it over here, and we just decrease it down a bit, so we have this ring. If we just look at it from the top, scale it up a bit, move it to the center. Now if I grab this, press Shift S and the cursor to selected, and then select this and selection to cursor, and that will make it exactly aligned to the thing. So that's about the right thickness, I'd say. Maybe a bit too thick. Should be about, as you can see, about 1/3. So it seems about right. 1/3 is a little too thick in my opinion, so I'm just gonna decrease that. See, it's not too thick over here, right? So we can decrease that a bit more. That should be fine. and we have our basic ring as well. So we need another one down here for this, and this does seem attached. So what we can do is make the ring, and or we could just copy this ring, screw this part out, or we can make this separately and this separately. What I think we should do is we'll copy this ring down, and then we'll make this separately, and then we can attach it together. So if we just go on Shift D and we just bring it down, so we now have another ring. Now if you did Alt D, we could make it Alt D1, but with Alt D, any changes that you make to this, for example, if I bring this out, it affects this. So we don't want that, because this has a little bit of a different design, and I think I might like to change it. Maybe like you see, this is a bit different, so we don't really need an exact duplicate. So we have this, and now if we just grab make another cylinder, rotate it 90 degrees and bring it down. It's about a little thicker than the side, I'd say. That's still pretty thick. Maybe we need to make this thinner. Yeah. So if I just grab this, make this a bit thinner again. Let's grab both of these, all three of these. Go to the top and make this thinner. And then we can go ahead and make this about as thick as this. And just bring it down here so that we have this. And you know, I don't actually like this, so I'm just gonna decrease it a bit. I think it should be a little thinner. I'm not sure if we can see it properly in this, but oh well, we can change that later, I guess. Looks fine. And we need something attaching to this to the top. So if we just bring this down and just a little bit of a, just bring this down, and if you press Shift and then H, that will isolate it. So now we only have this, and now we're just going to grab the front faces. So we'll just grab these. I guess that's up to here. We don't really need that many, so just remove this and this, and then just inset it, because it's not at the edge. Inset it with I. Now it's better if we just apply the scale first. Now if we inset it, and that's good, and we just need to decrease this about here, and then we can bring it up, and then press S and scale this down and press 0. I'm not sure if you can see did I press 0? I did. So yeah, if you press 0, then this flattens out. So now if we press Alt and then H, and then we can unhide all this. Okay, and now we can just bring this back up so it just fits nicely inside, but we don't need it to be so high. So how about here? Yeah, it should be about the same, and then we can just bring this down. Okay, so now we have the basic handle. If we want, we can go ahead and scale this down later on as we see fit. So that's the basic handle, I guess. We've made this part. I'll just add another ring to the top as well, just for consistency, I'd say. Up here, we could actually just hollow it out, but we don't really need to. So now we have the handle, and great. So we still need to refine this up a bit, but we'll go ahead with the refining and detailing after we've made the hilt as well, and we've scaled everything accordingly. Then we'll go ahead and refine it. Okay, so next we'll be moving on to the hilt. Okay, so now we're going to move on to making the cross guard on the top. So in order to make the cross guard, choose a cross guard. We could go with this one. This one looks really good, but that will take that is more of an advanced lesson. We could just make this one like a simple one. This one doesn't really look that good. These are more for samurai swords, and we could make a simple one like this. I don't really want to because it's part. Oh, we could, and make this part too, from where the sword comes out. We could try this. This one doesn't really have one. This one is more of a sword. Let's check out this dagger. Oh, so this one doesn't even have one. So I think in order to decide which one to use, we should go ahead and unhide our blade. It's too small, so we can't see it. So let's just grab our blade and move it up. You see how small that is? Okay, so we can scale this up. And let's go ahead and rotate this as well. Oops. Rotate this 90 degrees. And I think I'll make it in this orientation, so the blade down and the thingy up. So let me just grab all the handle, select objects, move it upwards, and rotate it 180 degrees. So now if we make this handle, now we have this. Now we need something over here like a cylinder. Let me just scale it up. Something over here, right? I guess something thinner would look better. Something to join these two. I think this would be good, nice and simple. Okay, let's make this one then. But instead of making it upwards, we're gonna make it nice and sharp and go downwards instead, towards the blade. And thinner, but we can get this idea. Again, we're not gonna be tracing it, we're just gonna be making it from this. So it looks like it could be a cylinder. Yeah, we can use a cylinder for this part and then extrude these edges, and we'll be extruding it towards the blade as well, but make it a bit sharper, and then making this part down here. Yeah, that's totally doable. Let's do that. So let's go ahead and hide these two and create a cylinder. So according to this, if we just rotate this 90 and scale it down, and if we grab the top vertices and just move it upwards, that's not gonna work. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. So let's delete this, make another cylinder that has 17 sides. That way we can scale it down. And now when we select let's get an octagon. I think I need an octagon. And then we need a cut in the middle. Ah, I see. That should work fine. Let's use this. Go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees and scale it down a bit. And then if we look at it from the side and rotate it and say about 22.5 degrees, 22.5 degrees, or 22 degrees, or 23 degrees. And just cut it down the middle. Cut it down here. And then we can just join these. Click these and then you can just press J and create a line. So now if we go ahead and move this upwards, kind of makes sense, right? Move this to the middle as well. So we kind of have this look, and we can have two things extending up from here, and we can just bevel this as well. So let's go ahead and add 2 to here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. Oops. So we're just gonna go ahead and delete this top bottom part, and we can mirror it. So if you just add a mirror modifier in the Y direction, and if you just grab these and cursor to selected, and origin to 3D cursor, and now we have this, which we do not need to. Merged. Okay, so now we don't need to, we just know of this part. So if you want, you can make these go a little higher, but I think I don't want these. Let's go ahead and dissolve these. Oops. Just dissolve these edges. Okay, so if we want to go ahead and create from here now, I think we should make the curvature first, and then we'll go ahead and add it. So if we just select this, this, and this, Control B and bevel it. Actually, I want to bevel. I don't want to bevel this. I want to bevel in between this. Right, I want to keep this. And keep this. So how about we go ahead and delete this mesh cylinder? Not 8 sides. How about 12 sides? Okay, and if we just go ahead and delete, oops, delete these vertices. Join these. Join these. Now we can go ahead and delete these vertices and go ahead and bevel these two. And I can just flatten this out as well. So let me go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees now. 180 degrees, sorry. And add the mirror modifier to it as well. And just move this down a bit. Move this down a bit. And grab these and extrude. and extrude upwards and clip, so that we get these merged. Okay, that looks nice. You kind of go to the edge, so we don't really want that. So let's go ahead and straighten these up. Straighten these up. It's kind of sharp. Let me just grab this and this and bevel it just a bit. So now it's nice and round with a top part as well that we can start modeling. This looks a bit weird, right? Just for the nice topology, let me just go ahead and join these, and same on this side. Join these, then I can go ahead and remove these two these dissolve edges. Now we have a nice clean look. How about I rotate this 180 degrees? So I'm working on the top. Okay, so now we need to be making this part. So let's go ahead and grab these two parts, and it is from about the center. So we're just gonna go ahead and apply scale, and then grab both of these, inset just a bit, and extrude out. So we need to be extruding. This is where the blade will be, so we're just gonna extrude this way. So if we just extrude it outwards and kind of curve it down, so if we bring it here and rotate it, and then we can go ahead and add one of these, grab this and grab these two, and if we just go ahead and bevel, and how about we grab the whole thing and go ahead and bevel it. And like this, so then we can make it nice and curved if we just grab this and move it upwards. Okay, I've got a better idea. We can just do this manually, right? So if I move this up here, I don't need this. Move this up here. And have another one. And we can just go ahead and rotate this a bit. Rotate this a bit. And move this a bit here. Move this a bit here. Take this, move it a bit down. Right, so we have like a nice thing, but in order to make it something like this, we want to make it sharper and thinner. So let's go ahead and check it from the top and just grab all these and make them sharper. Grab all these, make them thinner and thinner and thinner, thinner and thinner, thinner and thinner. Oops, what's wrong with this? So if we just extrude this down here, extrude this to this level, and move a bit outwards. Actually, this might work as well if we just go ahead and cut it down the middle. Can we even? I think we should be able to. No, that's too much. So I move this upwards, rotate it a bit, extrude it, rotate it a bit, extrude it, rotate it a bit, extrude it, rotate it a bit. That should be fine. Then we can just cap this with an F and then join these back with a J. So now we have a nice thing, and we would like to make it short, smaller and smaller, so decrease this, oops, and deselect, decrease a bit more, 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 deselect, decrease a bit more. So now we have a nice looking hilt, I'd say. And let's decrease it on this side as well. So if we just grab this, choose local or normal, we can just decrease it like this, and local, decrease it like this, decrease it like this, decrease it like this. So now that looks better. Decrease it like this. Decrease it like this and like this. Okay, so that looks about good. That looks about right. Yeah, that looks like a nice hilt. I think we're about done with this. So what we need to do now is on the side that it's bending to, make this little carriageway. So it's bending to this side, so what we need to make is, if we just go ahead and price scale and select all these and inset, and if you press B, it will keep this border. So about here. That's about good. That's about right. And then we can just go and extrude, and then we need to cut it out like this. So I think we should model this part on its own. Not really sure how they would do that, but let's go ahead, and we could keep it like this and have an indent inside. Now what that be done is, if we just grab these vertices, let's say like down here, and just move these back. Just move these back a bit. That will create that kind of an effect. Looks fine from here, but yeah, I guess that's fine. Just keep this as well. So maybe move this back a bit. Move this a bit back as well, and move this a bit back as well. Move this a bit back as well. So we just grab these and insert these one more time and scale it in, scale it down. Oops, let's bring it down. Insert it. Oops, whoa. These lines are really close together, that's why. So how about we remove some of these? We don't need so many of cleaning up this topology a bit. Definitely don't need so many of these. And next, dissolve edges. Same over here. Let's grab these. So that should be fine as well. Just grab these, insert them, and scale them in, and insert them maybe one more time, and extrude them inwards. That would kind of create the ridge for where the blade should be in, and I'll adjust this once we have the blade inside as well. So we have the basic blade thing, and we have all this done, and might be a little bit too thick. We could scale it down a bit, or just this part. I think it's fine for now. So now we can go ahead in the next one and put them all together and start refining our models one by one, now that we have the basic block out shape of them. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so we're back with moving on. We can go ahead and rename this to cross guard, and move it to a new collection called cross guard. So now we can enable all three of these and see how that looks. We don't need archive, we need this, so we just put the archive at the bottom. So if you just move this to the top, rotate it 90 degrees, 120 degrees. So now we have something to put in the middle. So now we have a nice looking dagger almost ready. So let's go ahead and actually combine it. So I think the sizing of this is about right. Yeah, I guess it's about right. So maybe we can decrease this or increase this a bit. So let's go ahead and grab all these and just increase these in size. Looking from the top, just so it fits a bit better, and move it upwards a bit. So now we have the handle fitting inside the guard. That looks good, and the blade should be increased inside as well if we just go ahead and return to geometry and move this up a bit. I think that should be scaled up a bit, move down, something like this. Seems a little thick for the blade, so let's go ahead and grab all of this, scale it down a bit. We don't want to scale this down, just want to scale this down. That looks a lot nicer. and we're gonna scale the whole of this down, so that looks fine. Now that looks like the right proportions. Now with this, how are we gonna fit this into this? Because as you see, this was a flat thing. Either we can flatten it out and destroy the edge, or as with this, we can add some kind of a guard that could fit inside it. Now since we've already done this part, I think it would be best if we can't really add anything to cover it. Maybe we can add something like this. Let me just make a quick plane just to see if it would look good. So if we were to add something like this in front of it, something like this, I don't know. We could add something like this. That doesn't really look good. So I think just go ahead and if I just flatten it out a bit, that could also look good. I think I'll try to make this fit inside this, and then that would look alright as well. So move this down a bit, and if we can just zoom in to it, and now we can edit our blade. So just going to move this upwards and move this over here so that we can just fit this inside our blade. So if you move our blade upwards, it should fit nicely inside this. Let's see. Let's see, where's our blade at? Blade should be moved to the middle. Center is this. And kind of looks weird over here, so maybe move it a bit this way. So this is the blade that we have. It kind of looks odd. This one kind of overhangs a bit more. I mean, this looks fine, but it looks like it's out of proportion a bit. I don't know. So maybe like this should be over here to have it in the middle. Yeah, I think the point of this should, if we just draw a line from here, oh well, I don't need that. If we just draw a line and just make a cube and scale it down. If I try and put this in the middle, this is basically the center of the center of it, right? So yeah, so if we go to the blade, so this should cross the blade as well. So the center of this should be here. So the blade should be over here. That's where the blade should be. So we're not moving the blade now. Now we have to fix this and adjust this or whatever. So let's go ahead and adjust this a bit just to make it a little bit nicer. And we can just go ahead and grab all of these and move them inside. Yeah. just a bit more maybe. Grab this, move this down a bit, move this out a bit. That's fine, we can just go ahead and adjust this. And return to history. So now we have this at about the right place. Take this out a bit, take this down a bit. So now we have our blade set up in the center, and now that looks refined. I'm just going to delete this. Let me just see if I've messed this up or something. Or is there something wrong with the mirror modifier? No, there is something wrong with the mirror modifier, so we can just go ahead and Shift S, cursor disconnected, and it's with the cursor. So now if we turn this on, that should look nice. So if you look from the top, that should be in the middle as well. Not really in the middle, so let's make this right in the diagram. That looks about right. That looks like it's fitting fine. Now we don't want this to move, so what I'll just do is grab all these, Shift S, cursor to select here, this is the middle point, and make a empty, and then we'll parent all of this to the empty, Control P. So now we have this empty that's basically controlling our sword. Save that. Okay, so now we need to make adjustments to the sword. And we'll start with the blade, refine that, then we'll go on to the handle, and the same order, then we'll move on to the hilt, and we'll just go ahead and refine it all so that it makes a perfectly nice dagger. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and refine this blade part now. So we've all fit it all in, looks fine, nothing's wrong. We just need to make it nice and, you know, get rid of all the unnecessary things. So we're gonna go ahead and hide these again, and empty is fine. So what we're gonna need to do now, there are two things you can do. Either if you want to create a really nice high detailed model, high poly model, you can keep on working on this and making it better, using subsurfaces and different modifiers, and that will turn out to look really good. If you want to make some kind of asset for a game or something low poly, you would probably not want to make something with so many polys, and so we would not be using subsurf and other modifiers. But that's a different workflow, and I will be teaching that soon in a later course. That involves baking, and you can make the high poly and bake it onto the low poly and stuff. Right now we're just going to go ahead and not do it for a game design, but just for a nice showcase or a just an asset, I'd say. So what we're going to do is add two things. First of all, I'd like to apply this mirror modifier, but before applying, I'm just going to go ahead and save this, save as, and save it as a copy, so that we know that we have a restore point in case anything does go wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this modifier. So now we have it all applied. Go ahead and shade smooth it. That's what we need to do, but as you can see, this does have a lot of issues right now. So we're just going to shade flat and go ahead and add a bevel. Now Control A, scale it, and I'm not sure if you can see this bevel right now. If we just up this to 2. Oh yeah, you can see this beveling, like if we turn it off. Basically these sharp edges, even if it's a knife, it's not supposed to be so sharp. So it kind of rounds it out. Now if we shade smooth it, it kind of smoothens it out. Now that looks a lot better, as you see. Okay, and we could go ahead and add a subdivision surface to it, because this needs to be I don't know, it just doesn't look so good. So let's go ahead and have subsurf, which smoothens it out a bit more, and we need to move this to before. Okay, so if we move this before, it just rounds everything out and we don't need that. So if we add it afterwards, as you can see, like if we check out this edge, turn this off, kind of smooths it out, but also kind of destroys it. So if you just add another one, it kind of makes it a neater look. So do you think now this is better, or do you think this is better? Do you see it kind of rounds this out? You can see that if you turn it on, it kind of rounds this out, rounds all the edges and any imperfections that we may have had. As you see that maybe we didn't really like the look of this so much, and once we round it out, it kind of gives it a nice edge to it. And if we just turn it off, and then it's kind of sharp and harsh. So I think I'm going to keep it with the that looks nice with the subsurf modifier. Even on this side, I think I'll bring this out a bit. So now that looks a lot nicer. Anything to do to that side, we'll need to do to this side as well. But I think for now, this looks really good. What's this? Oh, I see. So we don't need so many of these. If we just turn off this and this, we can see what it looks like without the... Let's go ahead and remove some of these, because with the subsurf, it's going to look almost the same as well. This looks fine. No artifacts. There is actually a little bit of artifacting here. We got rid of that over here. So how about we do the same over here, because you can see these artifacts. If we go ahead and remove like 2 of them, how about this one, and this one, then you can see that it's gone, and we still have that nice contour to it. And I think this one's a bit much as well. This one is fine. We can still get rid of 2 of these. Oops. No, that's a bit too harsh. That's fine. So we don't need to look at it. We can just change this to 1. And that will give us some bad results over here. But once we move it to 3, it looks really good. So we'll keep it at 1 for now and render on 3. That will give us the You can up the quality as well, but I wouldn't do that. So now we have a nice looking blade. Not sure why. Yeah, so there are some artifacts over here, I think, as well. So move this in. Does it fix it? It does fix it because of the angle a bit. And move it outwards. I could just grab these two and move them outwards a bit. I see. Do you see? Like this is something else because we need more edges over here. So what we can do is just move these two out a bit. And then it kind of cracks open. So I think the best way to go about this would be with moving these out a bit, or in a bit, I mean, just a bit. So we get rid of that harsh artifacting that we had. Now maybe we'd like to smooth this out, so if we turn this off, you can see how it just rounds everything out. So okay, so I don't want the bevel to be on this edge. The rest is fine. This edge, actually I guess it's fine, because if I don't have the bevel here, then it would just be smoothed out. So that's fine. Maybe I don't need this. I think it's fine. Yeah, I think we're done with the blade. So let's move on to the handle. Now this needs some work. So let's move on to the handle first. So let me just isolate this, and like before, would like a bevel modifier. It doesn't matter because we won't be seeing this anyway. And Control A and scale, and let me just close this, and let me just nicely beveled and shade smooth. So that looks nice. And the edges that we beveled before, now you can see these, but you can't see the other ones. So now we have this nice look to it. Yeah, that should be fine. I think that's about it. So let me just go ahead and isolate these three. Then we need to shade smooth it, and we need to add a bevels modifier to it, because we have to bevel everything, right? So scale, shade smooth. That looks good, but it's still, and I want it to be rounder. So let's go ahead and add a surf to it. Level 2 is fine. Now, do you want to add it before or after? That's what you need to see. If you add it before, it just squashes it down. So we need to smooth it out after. So that should be fine on level 2. That looks really good. So now if we just go ahead and press Ctrl A and apply the scale to these two as well. And then if we click these, Ctrl L, and Control L will give you link materials and link copy modifiers. As you copy the modifiers from it, now we have that, and we just need to click and shade smooth. So now we have them all the same. Now we do want to add these details to it. These details, you could either do this in the texturing or we could do this now. So this one I want to keep relatively simple. We need these two bars, and let's do the middle one first. So we need 2 bars on it, right? So we'll just create 2 bars with Control L. Whoa. So we just create 2 bars with it. Control R, 1 up here and another one down here. If you want to see how, you can just turn off subsurf. So now the thickness should be about more than twice. So more than twice sounds right. This one should be brought down a bit. It's fine. So now we can just go ahead and click this, click this, click this, click this, and actually let's go ahead and flick faces, and then we can select these as well. Select these, and oops. So if we just make another one over here, we can select these, select these, select these, select these, select these, and deselect these. Alt E, extrude along normals, and that just extrudes them a bit. You don't need to do it too much, just a bit. Now you can see that these aren't so sharp, and I want to make it sharp. So if we turn off bevels, and if you just add another loop over here, these are called loop cuts, and if we just tighten these areas down here in which we want the crease to be very tight, then you can see that the creases are tight, and it'll look a lot better when it's on number 2 or even number 3. Number 2 is fine. Okay, so now we have that kind of a bevel to it, and that's fine. That's done. That's done for now. We do have a bevel. Maybe I can bevel it a bit more. If we shade flat, do you see this bevel on it? Add more segments. 1 segment, 2 segments is good. Even if we shade smoother, that's kind of round, too round. I want at least 1 on it, right? Okay, that's fine. Let's go on to this one. This one is simpler. It just needs a smaller one down here, and can't really see it, so we'll just keep it simple and thin. So if we just go ahead and insert this twice, so we can get this, and then insert it once more, extrude it once more, and then insert it once more. So now we have a smaller level to it as well. That's a little closer. I think I made it too small, because once we add the handle in, it would look a bit smaller. But let's go to this one now, and this one needs an extension to it, something that brings it down a bit. So what we can do is same with this, insert it a bit, insert it a bit more, bring it down a bit. So now we have this part, and we have this part as well, which we'd like to see a bit more. So let me just go ahead and scale this down just a little bit. Okay, and that should be good. And we can just inset this as well. Now we do want this edge to be very prominent, so we're just going to go ahead and tighten this edge up so we can see that very nicely, and even this edge up as well. Okay, so we have this little edge. I think this should be a little higher, and this is too much, so let's bring this down a bit, and with this it should be a bit more, so let's bring this down a bit, and let's bring this down a bit. Like this, that should look good. And we could add these on the model, and I'll show you these on the texturing workflow, and then we'll get to the eye as well. So we're gonna go ahead and add these. So we need just indentations, I guess, on it. So if we go ahead and select these faces, let's select these, and then we'll miss one. Let's see how we do want to do this. Select these two, select these two, select these two, select these two. Kind of missing one, but I guess that's fine. Yeah, we can get rid of this one. So we can inset this and scale it down and bring it in. So extrude it inwards and then inset it a bit again. So then we have this look to it. Now if we turn off bevels, that's what we really need. So oops, that's why it's looking weird. So inset this and extrude along normals, and then insert this a bit again. So we have this. The inside part is fine, but I would prefer it to be nice and rounded. So we're gonna take off the bevels and add our own bevels. So if we just insert this, nice flat top. This is shade smoothed. If we just do this twice, 3 times, you can see that this looks nice, as we'd like. So that should be fine. Let me just tighten up this edge as well. That does tighten up the top of this, so we don't want that. What we want instead is how about an extrusion? Extrusion. I think that looks better. Nice and tight. And same over here. We'd like this nice and tight. Yeah, that looks fine. So now we have nice little these are closer, I guess. We can increase the size, but it looks fine for now. Yeah, that looks fine. So unhide. So now we know what we're working with, and this is too big, so let me just decrease the size of this. so that it is smaller and fits inside our little thing that we have here. Now our handle's looking a lot nicer, and I think this is, I don't know, it just looks too thick to me, so I'm gonna increase its size down. And let's work with this now. So we want to bevel it, and then we want to shade smooth. Apply scales. I want to keep it kind of tight, so also we want this to be rounded, so subsurf. Nice rounded edges with the subsurf. Okay, so what we want now is an indentation, small indentation, small rings on the top, an indentation, and then we'll have our eye on this side. So what we can do is we want to do it for both sides, so we'll just go ahead and delete this vertices and add a mirror modifier on the Z axis, and that should be merged. That's fine. So now if we go ahead and turn off our, this means that you won't be seeing it in edit mode. So this and then this, and then just a bit more, and then we extrude this inwards. Now this does kind of bevel a bit, so we will just scale this down a bit, just a bit more maybe. It's fine. Same on this side, and then we can go ahead and raise these. If we just put another one from here, so we can separate the two. And then we can go ahead and extrude these out a bit. Yeah, just a bit for detail. Why does this look odd? Okay, get it. Okay, so what we do is extrude this a bit, and then extrude this a bit more. Nice tight extrusions. And then with the level 2 subsurf, this should look really good. Yeah, we can even make it level 3 actually. Yeah, we'll make it level 3. That should look fine. And then an eye in the middle. Maybe I should make another indent for the eye. This where our eye can be. Anything on the outside, don't really think it needs anything. Just for extra details, I could go for a I think it looks good smooth with eyes on both sides. Because I kind of want to create this effect over here. I'm not sure if this would look so good, but we can try. So now we have a nice handle, and let's move on to the hilt now. So moving on to the cross guard that we just need to refine a bit. So just like we did before, I think I'll go and add a bevel and apply the scale, and let's just see how our bevel looks. and shade smooth. It looks good already. We want to smooth this out, so we will apply a subsurf so we can smooth it out. As you can see, this looks nice and smooth, so number 2 is fine. Number 3 on the render, probably on all of them, so that we can get a nice crisp result. I do want to make it a little thinner from over here, so make it a little bit more thinner. That's fine, and a little bit pointier as well. So if we just grab these two, extrude it out, scale it down, and if we just move it along the normal axis, it's a nice pointed sharpy thing that we have. And how about this part inside? Looks fine. Just take this off and this off. How we can fix this is if we go ahead and join these. Not quite sure. Oops. Join these. Join these. Join these. Join these. Join these. Even join these. That will give a better. We won't be able to see this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And this is actually lower. That's why it looks weird, so we're just going to bring these to a bit to the front. So now we don't have that kind of weird artifacting, and that looks fine. This side looks fine too, it's the same thing. And any kind of details we want on this, we'll keep it simple. We won't go with all this because we are trying to actually make something closer to this. I kind of mixed both of them up. We'll go ahead and add a nice stencil over here with the textures, and even these things that we can add with textures. I'll just give it a slight bump over here, and that should be it. If I give it a slight bump over here, extrude this outwards, it looks like a nice bump, and I'll actually have another one up here. I think it would look nice. Yeah, that would look good. Oh, I think it didn't grab this. So let me just grab this as well. That looks fine. I can't really see the back side of it, but I'm just gonna do it over here as well, just because I think that it would look good. So just go ahead and insert this a bit, insert this a bit more, and grab these two layers. And this one extruded outwards a bit. Just a bit. Little details look good, and I think we are done with this, so we can go ahead and unhide all of them, and okay, and we can see how that looks now, and that looks a lot better than before. You see how nice that looks now, and the details and everything done. We have a nice model, and if we just check it from the front, just check, everything looks good and nice, sharp, symmetrical, and proportionate as well. If you look from the side, could have it maybe a little bit thicker from here, but I think it's good because we actually do need a grip as well. Looks decent enough. We are covering it very well. Bring this inside a bit maybe. If we just go ahead and so that moves with it, so let's move this. So that we cover the slits inside. Okay, that looks fine now. So we are done with our model. Save it, and we can move it around, obviously. That's it. Okay, so let's just take a final look if we need to change anything, because we made this with the mind of getting it textured as well. I think, come to think of it, this should be sharp. It's a dagger, so maybe from here to here should be sharper. So if we just scale this down, let's see this. Let me just reset the position of this so that we have a proper working model. So let's see. So now if we select all these, and I think we should select these as well, and we can just scale these down. And also we just need to bring these faces up. So this one, and this one. Also this one, and this one back to its normal width. I think that's about right. That's how much it was before as well. Actually, that's too much. About this much. So that it goes from a thicker to a thin, sharp edge. If I'm not wrong. Yeah, nice thin, sharp edge on this side, and even a sharp edge on this side. If we just take off our modifiers, you can see they're a lot better. I think might want to scale this in just a bit. So just grab this one and this one and this one and this one, and if we just scale this in just a bit so that we have a nice prominent edge and a nice sharp edge for our knife, that should look good. So save that. This could also be sharp, but I think in our reference image we could make it sharp, you know, we can make it all sharp, to be honest. So let's go ahead and sharpen these edges as well just a bit. So what do we have? We have this point, right? So if we just grab these two, these edges, these vertices, these vertices, this one, that should be fine. Let's not do this one. Oh, and we don't need these. Think I'll forget this one as well, and this one, and then we can just scale this in nice and tight. I think this is one, we don't really need this, but that's fine. So we have a sharper edge here as well. Come to think of it, we can just include this as well. So let's just include all this as well, and just and just scale this down nice and tight so we have a nice edge. This is looking a little weird, not sure why. Oh, I think it's the, wow, that's better. Oops. There, nice sharp edge. That's kind of not what I want. It's fine. I don't know why we have these. Because of the sub smooth. Okay, that looks fine, nice and sharp, and that's fine as well. And let's just sharpen up this side as well. What we could do is if we just turn this off, and the best way to sharpen this would probably be to just select this and deselect any of these things. We don't need to sharpen it all the way. I think we can just skip these two. That's fine. And we can skip this one. Oops, this one. And this one. And if we just bring this out a bit, that should create the sharp edge that we need, maybe just a bit more. So we have a nice highlight on that as well, and we get this nice extra detail inside our mesh. This is looking a little weird over here, so we pull this back, that should be fine. Okay, that's fine. Save that. I think we're good with the blade. Now, any kind of detail we need to add to this. It looks fine. Don't need this to be sharp or anything. Maybe something on the top over here so we know this is the front and this is the back. Some nice little detail. Actually, I think I will go with adding a cylinder and scaling it down. I'm not sure if it's the middle. It's not the middle. If I just cursor to selected and then selection to cursor, now it's in the middle and we can just move it out. And obviously we don't need it so big, so we can just scale it down and just have it out. Shade smooth it and give it a nice bevel and apply the scale. That looks good. Maybe something a bit sharper, just so we know that's the front, and just give it an extra. I think it's a bit too far out, and if we just give it some detail. Oh, I'm not sure what's happening here. It's with this oh, it's with the bevel, I guess. Shouldn't be happening. That is very weird. Trade smooth, turn off the bevel. Okay, I guess we can just get rid of this then. If that's the thing, I don't know why it's causing the problem. Yeah, that's fine. Might delete this at the end, I don't know. Just an extra detail, I think. Anything in here, and it's fine. That is fine. I think that should be a little thicker actually. The rim of it should be just a bit thicker. I think that looks weird, so let's just grab these and scale them in. Oops. And also we need to grab these as well and then scale them in. Well, just grab these and these, scale them in. That's about right. Yeah, that looks better. And if you do the same to the bottom one, grab this, scale it in a bit. Could scale this out as well. Scale this out a bit. Yeah, that looks better. That looks nice. That's fine going inside here. Okay, so this is fine. We're going to be working on these later. Just check our reference. Yeah, it's fine. Could actually go with something like this. Or what else do we have? How's the handle for this? It's like, oh, it's got 3 rings too, I guess. Just to change the material a bit. Oh well, that's fine. Okay, and this, oh, this is one piece, right? Oh no, we have an array modifier. Let's see, that's fine. Kind of goes in a bit. Actually, I'd like to shorten it up a bit. So why don't I shorten this up? You think it'll look better like this? Or should I shorten it up in edit mode? Yeah, I think I will shorten it up like I did before. If I just go ahead and shorten this up. Oops, it's not even in the middle. Just so it's just inside. So even if we hide this, it's like just inside the mesh, and same over here. It's just inside. That would look better. And we should probably offset the z-axis so it fits in. Let's see, 3, 1.4. Oh, I get it, it's not equal. So what we can do is we can apply the modifier and then have this as its own mesh and just separate it. So now we have 2 different objects, but they both have the same origin. So let me just origin to geometry and origin to geometry, and then we can scale this up just a tad. I think that fits in pretty well. Yeah, that does. So I think that's better. It's more permanent. Still have the bevel and everything on it, and that looks good. Save that. The rings are fine. I do think I might want to add a bit more detail to this. I'm not exactly sure why or when. Maybe something over here as well. If I go ahead and inset this a bit more and extrude it out, does that look any good? Might need another edge loop here. Yeah, I guess extra detail is always good. This one, is it beveled? It doesn't look beveled. Apply the scale on it. Weird. Oh, that does not look. I guess 2 is fine. Okay, that's fine. I guess we can play around more with this once we start doing the textures. If we need to edit anything, then we can do that. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks good. That looks fine for now. So I think we're done here. It's got a nice edge on the sword, nice blade. That looks good. Save that. Have this. We could rotate it, but I think we'll just keep it for now. If we'd like to rotate it, on the -90 and just put it on the ground. Like so. We'll just keep it flat for now. So that's good. Save that. And I think we're done. So hopefully you learned something about modeling, and I'd love to see you guys model something. Even if you want one of these, let me know. I'll add these so you can just copy them if you want to reference any of these, or if you want to find your own models from some kind of game, or maybe something you saw online, then go ahead, and I'd love to see it. And I'll be here to help you out if you do need any help in the modeling process, because obviously some of these are a little bit harder. As you can see, some of them require advanced sculpting and stuff. So at your own pace, at your own comfort level, just go ahead and maybe model one of these, or mix and match the things you like, and show me then. I would love it if you guys would follow me and join me in the next class that I will be making, in which we'll be texturing this to make it look very realistic. We left this here, so no big deal. We can just rotate this -90 and set it down back where it was. Where is it come? Back where it was, and that looks fine. Right in the middle. And just pairing this to this as well. So now we move this, should move along. Okay, so yeah, so join me. I'll be texturing this to make it look nice. We can texture this in a stylized look or a realistic look. Also be rendering a few scenes out just to showcase it, and then we will see what we do from there. I'll be using Substance Painter for the texturing process, although we could use Blender and the texture paint and the shading workspace, but I'd like to show you guys how the Substance Painter workflow works as well, because we can get some really nice looking results in there, and I think you guys would like that, and it would be highly recommended to use that for your own assets and stuff as well. So I hope to see you soon, and I hope you learned something. Have fun and take care.